Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today we are going to be making a 19th century recipe for pizza, but not the pizza you might be expecting. It's pizza alla Napoletana, and when I hear that, I think of a pizza that's savory, has a thin crust, some kind of tomato sauce, some fresh mozzarella style cheese on top, something like that. But the one we're going to be making today comes from a cookbook from 1891 written by Pellegrino Artusi. And this recipe is a pie, essentially. We're gonna make a crust on the bottom that's sweet, a crust on top, and in between is going to be a vanilla kind of eggy custard inside. It sounds absolutely delicious, but not what I think of when I think of a modern day pizza. Now, I found this recipe on Gastro Obscura. I'll put a link to the original down below, but according to that article, the modern day definition of pizza, the savory flatbread version, did not appear in Italian dictionaries until 1905. That's what we're calling modern, so within the last 123 years. But before that, it was not a very well-known dish. It was found primarily in Naples, and it was often sweet. So I cannot wait to taste this version of pizza. The recipe sounds absolutely delicious. So let's go ahead and make it. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the custard filling because it needs to cool down. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to make a custard. So in a saucepan on low, we're going to add some sugar, whole milk, whisk that together, along with some flour. Boop. And whisk that up so I can avoid any lumpage. And 1 egg. Beat that up so that our egg does not scramble. Make sure our heat's not too high. Break yolk. Ooh, look at that yellow color. I'm going to cook this on low until it thickens. I never really like that description in recipes because I don't really know what they mean, because there's so many different amounts of thickness. You know what I mean? We're also going to be adding some ricotta cheese to this, which will enrich in it and cool it down. So when we assemble this pie, we want this filling to be cool. So that's why I'm making it first. So I can visually see that it's beginning to thicken. So now it's got more of a custardy consistency. Can you see that? It's kind of slopping against the walls a bit. It's kind of like soup. So lifting it off the heat and whisking in the thickened parts is a good idea because I don't want it to get lumpy. I want this to be smooth. See, now you can see the bottom of the pot. And this is definitely custardy in texture now. So I'm gonna reduce it to its lowest heat. And now add some almond meal. That's just ground up almonds. And 1 egg yolk. Ooh, look at the color of that. Makes it even more yellow. And some ricotta cheese. This is going to make it really rich and decadent. So 2/3 of a cup. This is an interesting measuring cup, isn't it? I think that's actually a 1/2 a cup, not 1/3 of a cup. Oh, curses. Where's my 1/3 of a cup? Okay, so I was supposed to put 2/3 of a cup. So I was going to put 2 of these, but I don't know geometry apparently. So I put 1/2, and so we're going to add a little bit more, not quite 3/4, just that much more. Highly accurate. It'll be fine. Whisk it in. That looks beautiful. So now we can remove the heat. Now we're going to add our flavoring. A little tiny smidge of almond extract. Whoa. Almond extract is very strong, just a little bit. And then some vanilla extract. And you know how I do this, bloops. And a heavier bloop. The recipe from 1891 calls for bitter almond, which is tricky to find because actually bitter almond can be poisonous. Similar to apple seeds, but you have to consume very, very large amounts of it. At any rate, it's difficult to find. You can substitute almond extract. So that's what I'm doing. But you could also make this lemony if you like by adding lemon zest. I'm going with vanilla and almond. To cool things off even faster, I'm going to place this on a rimmed baking sheet. Give it more surface area to cool off while we prepare the crust. Oh, it smells great. Okay, smooth it out. And then I'm going to lay a piece of plastic wrap right on top of this. Just gently press it to the surface so that it doesn't create a skin on top of the custard while it cools. Next, I want to walk you through the steps of what I did to create the pie crust. So it's super easy. So to my flour, I added lard and butter and used my hands to work it in together, kind of similar to what you do for a regular pie crust. Then I added my sugar, 1 egg, and 1 egg yolk. That's it. Just mix it all together. Initially, it's going to seem a little bit dry, but as the sugar and flour and everything incorporates together, it does come together into a beautiful, bright yellow dough. We're going to divide the dough into 2 pieces. I made one a little bit larger than the other because that's going to be the bottom crust, and the other one's going to be the top crust. Wrap it in plastic wrap and flatten out into a nice disc, and then we're going to chill it for at least 2 hours or overnight. And I did overnight. That will make it easier to roll the dough out. So I've got my 2 discs of chilled dough, and we're going to roll them out so they can fit into this 9-inch cake pan. So take our dough, I'm going to use a little bit of flour on the puck and roll it out until it fits the pan. Give it a couple presses. I took this straight out of the refrigerator, and the fats have solidified, hardened up, so it makes it a little tougher to roll out initially. Look at that cool pattern. Isn't that neat? Huh. All right, there we go. This has quite a bit of sugar in it, so it's going to be quite sweet. I don't think I've ever made a pie crust that required both egg and egg yolk. So make sure everything stays dusted. And I like to move the dough with each kind of pass. Not pass, but turn, you know? Give it a quarter turn, and that helps to keep things round. Helps. This is my experience. This is a pretty easy dough to work with. I shouldn't jinx myself, but so far so good. Okay. So I think that'll do us. Great. So I'm going to set that aside. Didn't have to worry about working on the plastic at all. A little bit of flour was great. Behind me, my oven, by the way, is heating up to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Not sure what that is in Celsius. Maybe 160 or so. Okay, so here's my second piece. This is a little bit smaller. This is going to go on the top. So I'm going to initially give this a little doink so it's a little bit more round. Same thing, press, press, dust with a little bit of flour, both sides. This isn't too sticky, which is great. Makes it easy to roll out. All right, I think that'll be almost enough. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now got a 9-inch cake pan here. I would feel better about doing this in a tart pan, a removable bottom tart pan, but it didn't say so in the recipe. So it said cake pan. So wish me luck. Alrighty, so we're gonna just place that into here. Actually, an easier way to do that is just to roll it on your rolling pin and then use your pin to transfer it like that. So I did go up the walls and I have a little bit overhanging. I think that'll be just fine. Ta-doo. Beautiful. We're going to take our cooled down custard and pour it into the pan. Bloop. It's not cold, but it's not hot. It's kind of at room temperature at this point. Take this and spread it around. Lovely. Oh, it smells delicious. Okay, next we're going to take our second sheet of pastry, and we're going to place this right on top. And tuck it in, get it nice and tight around the edges. So I'm going to use my pin here and see if I can cut off any excess. Just roll it on there, trim any excess dough. So going all the way and pressing first to get a nice tight seal. Patching wherever it needs patching. Looks good. And now we're going to take the tines of our fork and press around the perimeter, just to give a little decorative border, but also to seal things nice and tight. Ooh, that looks good. Can you see that? Yes. So here is our pizza, Napoletana. Now we are going to use an egg yolk, give this a little egg wash. Brush the top and the edges with this beautiful sunny yellow paint. Look how beautiful that is. After we're done glazing this, we're going to pop it into a preheated 325-degree oven and bake for 45 minutes. Then we're going to let it cool to room temperature before we chill it. This needs to be completely chilled before we eat it. Interesting, right? Alrighty, my lovelies, I will see you when this is completely chilled. Alrighty. Gosh, this should really be a paint color. I mean, look at that. So beautiful. Alrighty, my lovelies, I am back with my cooked and chilled pizza alla Napoletana, and it looks absolutely marvelous. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? This is fully chilled, nice and cold. I am so glad that I trusted the process and went with the cake pan. This pizza rose quite a bit while it was cooking, and it poofed all the way up. I wanted to use a tart pan because it had a bottom which would make the pizza easy to extricate out of the pan, but glad I didn't go with that and decided to use the tall pan because it's almost as tall as the cake pan. So let's go ahead and give this a slice. I hope I can get a pretty slice out. Let us try. Ooh, I see why they want you to chill it. It slices very nicely. And this is a custard pie, so it's probably some setup that needs to happen. In my experience, when you have a lot of egg and you're baking with egg, it's nice to let the dessert cool to kind of allow those eggy flavors to dissipate. Brownies, pies, custards, and you want the egg to do its, volumizing thing, but you don't necessarily want to taste too much of it so that it's distracting. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that this crust is cut all the way through, and this part too. Often that's where it gets hung up. Often the first slice is not pretty, but we will try our best to get it to come out in one piece. Just need enough room to get the spatula underneath. The crust doesn't want to lift. Okay, we need a cake server in here, stat. Come out. All right, here we go. All right. Not too bad. Look at that. Have you ever seen a pizza that looks like that? I have not. Alrighty, my first slice of sweet pizza, circa 1891. Looks beautiful. It's sliced pretty fantastically too. Was not expecting to get a full slice for the first slice at least, but gosh, it's so gorgeous. And I was thinking as I was making this, maybe this is the etymology of where pie comes from, pizza pie. Some people refer to a pizza as a pie. This is a literal pie, a sweet pie, but it's a pie with a crust on top and bottom. Maybe that's where the name comes from? I don't know. Very logical now that I've made this. Alrighty, let's give this beauty a taste. Alrighty. At that. Crust, custard crust with egg wash on top. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Delicious. So delicious. I sliced it so you can get a better look at the cross section there. See the crust, custard, crust, absolutely lovely. I love the addition of the ricotta cheese in there. It gives it a really nice richness and gives the custard some stability. It's a little bit like a cheesecake in that sense. It's got some density to it, but it's not as overpoweringly rich as a cheesecake. It has a nice touch of almond in there. That little 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract was plenty enough for me for flavoring this entire dessert. Well, we did add a 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla as well, but that combination is really lovely. You get that sweet dessert-like taste without being overpowered by the almond flavor, which sometimes in some desserts I have a hard time with. It's just too almond extract flavor for me, but this is nice, just a little kiss of it. It reminds me of some almond desserts, frangipane, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's reminiscent of that without being over the top almondy flavor. Lovely. It's like nothing I've ever had before. It has the kind of texture of cheesecake a bit with a bit more chewiness. That makes any sense at all. Not just a dense, rich brick kind of richness. It still remains relatively light. The crust is lovely, nice and sweet. There is no egginess whatsoever at all. It doesn't taste eggy, which can happen with desserts that have a lot of egg in it. This doesn't have too much egg, but their egg is definitely present. Lovely. Really, really lovely dessert. So I mentioned frangipane earlier, and it's essentially the almondy filling inside of an almond croissant. It's like that sweet, very almondy. It's often got a kind of coarser texture because of the ground almonds. That's what this is very similar to. A little less strong on the almond flavor because we added vanilla. I think it works really well in terms of balancing that almond flavor with that richness from the ricotta cheese. Absolutely delicious. If you are a fan of almond flavors or almond desserts, I think you will love this dessert. I think it's beautiful presentation along with its absolutely delicious flavor, along with this little kind of historical nuance, I think would be a great thing to bring to a party or to serve at a party or to make to a party. I think it's lovely. And I think begging to have other flavors in it as well. A purely vanilla one, I think a lemon one would be fantastic as well. Just really great. And what I also like, because it requires some chilling, you could make this advance to your party or get together. Really great, easy. I'm not supposed to be eating flour. It doesn't agree with me. And this has flour in it, but I just, That's the crust. Oh my goodness. The crust on this is delicious. It's cookie-like rather than being like a pie crust that I normally think of with either savory or sweet pies. It has a significant amount of sugar in it, and the texture is a little bit chewy and reminds me of a sugar cookie. Fan-stinkin-tastic. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. 19th century pizza alla Napoletana, which is a dessert rather than something savory. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Share with me recipes you'd like to see. Like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Oh my goodness. This is like, what is this like? It's not even like a custard. It's so good. It's like a cookie pie. Stop eating it like ham. The crust is so good. I will definitely make this crust again. I would for sure make this again.